सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। अखण्डं सच्चिदानन्दम् अवाङ्मनसगोचरम् आत्मानमखिलाधारम् आश्रयेभीष्टसिद्धये अर्थतोऽप्यद्वयानन्दान् अतीतद्वैतभानतः गुरूणाराध्य वेदान्त सारं वक्ष्ये यथामति। So, who's somebody please? I have to remember, same person.
Next week it will change Swamiji.
Okay. Next week it will change there also, no?
There are 7 days, here 6 days.
Ah, yeah, correct. Okay.
So, we entered the 5th chapter of
Good.
Fifth chapter in the text, and the topic of the 5th chapter is Sadhanani, Aparoksha Jnana Sadhana Nirupanam, the presentation of the means for direct and clear knowledge. And in 181st Khanda, that particular topic is introduced by the Granthkara. Evam Bhuta Swaswarupa Chaitanya Sakshatkara Paryantam Shravana Manana Nididhyasana Samadhya Nushthanasya Apekshitatvat Te Api Pradarsyante. Because of the expectation of the practice of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana and Samadhi till the Sakshatkara, the direct and clear knowledge of consciousness, which is one's own nature and which has been told earlier or which is in the form which is told earlier, that is Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Satya Sabhavaha Ityadi.
Then Paramananda
Advitiya
Anantadvaya.
They also, they referring to Shravanadi, they also Pradarsyante are presented now. And now from the next Khanda onwards, the Granthakara Saranandi starts with the presentation, and first comes is Shravana. Shravanam Nama Shadvidlingaihi
Vidni.
Vidha.
को पकड़ के दूसरा चुप चुप. One he tries to grasp other. What is that word?
Shadavil.
What is it?
Shadvidha Lingaihi.
Shadvidha Lingaihi. Shravanam Nama Shadvidha Lingaihi Ashesha Vedantanam Advitiya Vastuni Tatparyavadharanam. So, Shravanam means Avadharanam, ascertainment. And by this word itself, it is explained that Shravana is a Manasa Vyapara. It is not only in the form of listening.
So, what is the role of listening? Something must be there, no?
So, listening is the means for this ascertainment.
Correct. So, Shravana Indriya Pratyaksha Purvaka Avadharana. So, Shabdanam Indriya Pratyaksha Tat Purvaka Avadharana.
So, Avadharanam of what? Of the Tatparya, of the purport of what? Ashesha Vedantanam, of the entire Upanishad or all the Upanishads. And in what advitiya vastuni in the non-dual reality with the help of what? Shadvidha lingaihi, with the help of the indicators which are sixfold. So thus the Shravana was described, and here the word Shadvidha lingaihi was introduced, and there is a akanksha for what is that. So that is explained in the next khanda, or from the next khanda the explanation of lingani starts. Lingani tu उपक्रमोपसंहाराभ्यासा पूर्वता फलार्थवादोपपत्याख्यानि. Two, whereas Shravanam is the topic under discussion, but still Lingani are having the name Upakrama or Upakramopasamharau. So the beginning and the end. This is the Vachyartha, and we'll see the Lakshyartha as the presentation in the beginning and end. Abhyasa means the repetition. So where the Shruti or the text has got the Tatparyam, that particular topic will be repeated throughout the text at various different places. That is Abhyasa. Then Apurvata, uniqueness. Uniqueness in terms of what? Uniqueness of the Shastra in revealing that subject matter which is not available for any other pramana.
Or even uniqueness of the subject matter. Uniqueness of the subject matter in terms of not being available to other means of knowledge.
Yes.
Shastra also becomes, but here we are more focusing on subject matter.
And by that, the Apurvata becomes a lingam, because that subject matter is not available for any other pramana.
So how it becomes lingam?
Yes. So the subject matter which is not available for any other pramana means that Shruti alone is the pramana for this subject matter, and Shruti will have Tatparyam in that subject matter which will not be available for any other pramana. So thus it becomes the lingam. Then
so idea is that what you said is final one is the most important. That Shruti will have Tatparyam only in that thing which is not available for other means of knowledge. So if given subject matter is not available for any other means of knowledge, then it must be the Tatparya Vishaya. Yaha apurvarthaha sa Tatparya Vishaya. Okay.
Then Phalam. So the Tatparya of Shruti, the subject matter which is the Tatparya of the Shruti, Shruti will show the result for that subject matter also. So by the result of which subject matter is given, we understand that that subject matter is the Tatparya. Then Arthavadaha, glorification. Shruti will glorify that subject matter where it will have its Tatparya.
Correct.
And Upapatti means reasoning. Shruti will also give reasoning for that subject matter where it will have Tatparyam. And it also means that Shruti will not say anything which is unreasonable. Means will not have Tatparyam in that which is unreasonable.
That is secondary meaning. Main
Yes,
thing is
yes.
for whichever subject matter Shruti gives the reasoning will be the Tatparya Vishaya.
And for this, the Granthakara gives the Pramanam. And this Pramanam is from Bruhat Samhita named text, which is by Vedavyasa. Taduktam, that is said. Upakramopasamharau abhyaso purvata phalam arthavadopapatti cha lingam tatparya nirnaye. These six are the lingam in the ascertainment of the Tatparyam. And from the next khanda,
Taduktam, what is the meaning?
this is told.
This is means.
This means these six are the lingas. That is told even by Ved Vyasji.
Six are the lingas for ascertaining Tattvarya. Mere lingas will not be complete. These six are the lingas for ascertaining the Tattvarya. That idea is given in this Brihad Samhita.
And from the next khanda, one by one, each linga is explained. In yes, okay. So the first is Upakramopa Samharo, and it is explained. Prakrana Pratipadyasya Arthasya Tadadyantayoho Upapadanam Upakramopa Samharo. So what is Upakramopa Samharo? By this, using the expression together, it is shown that these two become one linga. And what is that? Upapadanam. So by this it is shown that Upakramopa Samharo is not beginning and end, but it is the presentation in the beginning and end. And presentation of what? Of Arthasya, of the subject matter. What kind of subject matter? Pratipadyasya, which is sought to be presented, or which is intended to be presented. By what? By the prakarana, means by the chapter or by the text. And where? Tad adi antayoho, in the beginning and in the end. So
Tad means?
Tad means in prakarana adi, prakarana antaha.
Correct.
So in the beginning of the text or chapter and in the end of the text or chapter. So by this it is shown that Upakrama and Upasamhara, they two together become one indicator. How whatever the text has got Tatparyam in whichever subject matter, that subject matter the text will present in the beginning and in the end. So if the subject matter, if one subject matter itself is seen presented in the beginning and in the end, then by that we can understand that that is the Tatparyam of that particular text. And now the Granthakara takes the example. And here the example of Chandogya 6th chapter is taken because there the 6 lingas can be easily appreciated.
Clearly, yes.
Clearly appreciated. Yatha, just as Chandogya Shashtadhyaye, in Chandogya Upanishad, in the 6th chapter, Prakarana Pratipadyasya Advitiya Vastunaha Adau Ante Cha Pratipadanam.
Kim?
Tatparya Vishayaha Advitiya Vastu.
Pratipadanam kim? Videyam kim?
Upakrama Upasamhara.
Yes.
So, it is said that there is presentation in the beginning and in the end of the non-dual reality, which is the subject matter sought to be presented by the 6th chapter. And how is the presentation? Then in the beginning it is in the manner Ekameva Dvitiyam iti. There is one non-dual reality alone. And how is it there in the end? Aitadatmyamidam sarvam iti. It is said that all this is having the essence in Sat Brahma alone. In this manner the presentation is there.
Good. Aitadatmyam, how will you explain the word?
बहुव्रीहि समास एतत् आत्मा यस्य सर्वस्य तद एतदात्मा and एतदात्मा एव ऐतदात्म्य.
Is this Svartashya? Okay. So now, in the 5th chapter, Vijnana Sadhanani, Sakshatkara Sadhanani are presented. And those sadhanas are Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana and Samadhi. And the practice of these four is expected or until Sakshatkara, appropriately. It is not that till the end Shravanam is required. Appropriately, one of these four or two of these four or three of these four are expected till Sakshatkara happens. And Shravanam initially will do the job of Tatparya Nishaya. Later on, same Shravanam becomes Mananam, becomes Nididhyasanam. Generally, Samadhi we don't say Shravana Manana. Samadhi means teacher will get a doubt. Okay. So, Shravana Manana Nididhyasana Samadhyanushthanasya apekshitatvat te api pradushyante. Then Shravanam is Tatparyavadharanam. Ascertaining the Tatparya is called Shravanam. In fact, this is the case with reference to any Shravanam. Really speaking, if we see, I listen to that person, what does it mean? I was sitting, he was talking and I was listening. That's what. Finally I have to understand what that person said, no? Otherwise he told this story, but what he finally wanted to say. That Tatparya Avadharanam has happened. Then only you can say you have listened to the person. Nowadays people don't have this type of listening. They simply hear superficially. And before the person opens his mouth, he starts thinking that he is the Tatparya. So even person, he said, oh, he is going to talk about this. Like a man thinks that when his wife starts talking, oh, she must be complaining about my mother. So before, or vice versa. So that is not listening. Means you really try to understand the intention of the person. That is called listening. Means you understand, and of course one additional thing is there in other conversation is you understand and also make other person feel understood. You understand the person and you make other person feel understood. Of course here that dimension, second dimension is not mentioned. But in communication that also is important. When you are listening to the teacher also should feel that you have understood. Otherwise you will repeat. Anyway, that apart. But Shravana means, finally it is Tatparyavadharanam. Or in general we can say Shravanam is the sadhana of ascertaining the Tatparya. Really speaking, it is a sadhana. Tatparyavadharanam is the culmination point. So Shravanam Nama Tatparyavadharanam means it's a process of the sadhana of the pursuit of ascertaining the purport of Ashesha Vedanta, all the Vedantas, all the Upanishads, Advitya Vastuni in non-dual reality, Shadvidalingehi, with the help of sixfold indicators. So all the Vedantas have got their Tatparyam in revealing Advitya Vastu reality. This we do with the help of Shadvidalinga, then that process is called Shravanam. That sadhana, that pursuit is called Shravanam. Alright, so culmination of Shravanam is in Tatparya Avadharanam. So Avadharanam is indicating the process, ascertaining the Tatparya of the Ashesha Vedanta in Advitya Vastu. Okay. Then Lingani, the indicators are Upakrama, Upasamharo, Bhyaso, Purvata, Phalam, etc. 6. And this was presented through a quotation from Brihat Samhita, and then we started seeing each one of them. The first one is Prakarana Pratipadyasya Arthasya Tadadyantayoho Upapadanam Upakrama Upasamharo. So beginning at the end, are the upapadanam, presentation of what? Arthasya, the subject matter, which is pratipadya. Pratipadya means which is sought to be conveyed, which is to be expounded. In fact, pratipadya has got the idea of tatparya. So pratipadyasya arthasya means what? Tatparya arthasya. So presentation of the subject matter which is the purport of the prakarana. Is it clear? So pratipadyatva is tatparya vishayatvam or tatparya bhutatvam, tatparya rupatvam. So presentation of the subject matter which is to be expounded, which is the purport of the prakaranam. Where? Tadadyantayoho, saptami dvivachanam, in the beginning and the end of the chapter. And this presentation is done in a uniform manner, in the sense it is presented in a synchronized manner. Means what is presented in the beginning, same subject matter is presented at the end. Words will be different. It may not be presented in the same manner. Sadeva Somya Idamagrasit in the beginning, and at the end, Ekam Etadatyam Idam Sarvam. Sadeva Somya Idamagrasit Ekam Eva Dvitiyam beginning. Etadatyam Idam Sarvam at the end. So words are different, but message wise both of them are same. So the Tatparya is that which is presented in the beginning and at the end in a synchronized manner, in a uniform manner. Okay. And that is called Upakrama Upasamhara. So Upakrama and Upasamhara are nothing but the presentation of the subject matter in the beginning and at the end in a synchronized manner, uniform manner. Uniform in the sense the content wise uniform. That is called Upakrama Upasamhara Lingaha. And by this particular Upakrama Upasamhara Linga is based on this particular logic. What is the logic? Yaha arthaha adau antecha ekarupataya pratipadyate saha tatparyarthaha. Yaha arthaha. In fact, we can add one more word. Prakaranasya adau antecha ekarupataya pratipadyate saha tatparyarthaha. This is the logic, that whichever subject matter is presented in the beginning and at the end in a unison manner, in a unified manner, in a synchronized manner, that is the Tatparyartha. That is the subject matter which is the purport. Tatparyartha means essential subject matter, central theme. Is it clear? Now, an example was given. Ekameva dvitiyam iti ado pratipadanam etadatyam idam sarvam iti antecha pratipadanam. This is Upakrama Upasamhara. In the 6th chapter, Chandogya Shashtadhyaye, Ekameva dvitiyam, in this manner, advitiya vastu prakarana pratipadyasya advitya vastuna pratipadanam. There is a presentation of non-dual reality, which is the Tatparya Vishaya of the chapter. Where was the Pratipadanam? Adau, in the beginning, is as what? Ekameva dvitiyam. So in the beginning of the chapter, there was presentation of non-dual reality, which is the purport of the subject matter, by the statement Ekameva dvitiyam. And Antecha Pratipadanam. And the presentation in the end of the same Advitya Vastu by a statement Aitadatmyam idam sarvam. All this is having their essence in this Brahma. Okay, this is Ado Antecha. Pratipadanam is Upakramopasamharo. Or sometimes they say Upakramopasamharo means Upakramopasamharekyam. The unison is the linga. Okay. Then next one. Prakarana Pratipadyasya Vastunaha
प्रतिपाद्यस्य वस्तुनः
तन्मध्ये पौनः पुण्येन
तन्मध्ये पौनः पुण्येन
प्रतिपादनम् अभ्यासः
प्रतिपादनम् अभ्यासः
यथा तत्र एव
यथा तत्र एव
अद्वितीयवस्तुनि
अद्वितीयवस्तुनि
मध्ये तत्त्वमसीति नवकृत्वः प्रतिपादनम्
मध्ये तत्त्वमसीति नवकृत्वः प्रतिपादनम्.
The second linga is abhyasaha, the repetition. What is this? What is the meaning of this repetition as a linga? He says, Prakarana Pratipadyasya Vastunaha Pratipadanam. Pratipadanam is presentation. How? Paunah Punyena, repeatedly. So repeatedly or repeated or frequent Pratipadanam, presentation. Frequent or repeatedly presentation or repeated presentation of what? Vastunaha, the subject matter, which is Pratipadya, which is sought to be conveyed, which is Tatparya Vishay Bhuta, which is the purport of what? Prakarana, the chapter or the section. So repeated presentation of the subject matter which is sought to be presented by, sought to be conveyed by, or which is the purport of Prakaranam, the chapter. Is it clear? And where is it done? Tan Madhye. Tan Madhye means Prakarana Madhye. In the middle of the chapter. Beginning and the end, they have been presented, that has been presented. This Prakarana Pratipadya is presented in the beginning and at the end. That is Upakramopasamharo. And same Prakarana Pratipadya, Artha, the subject matter which is intended to be conveyed with emphasis, which is the central theme, is Paunah Punyena Pratipadanam. So it's repeated presentation. Tan Madhye, in the middle of the text. Tasya Madhye. Tasya Prakaranasya Madhye. Tan Madhye. Or Tasmin Prakarane Madhye. Generally Shashti Vibhakti. Tasya Madhye. Prakaranasya Madhye. So in simple words, whatever is the Tatparya Vishaya will be repeated by Shruti. So repeated presentation of any given subject matter becomes the indicator that that subject matter is Tatparya Vishaya. Is it clear? So repeated presentation of a given subject matter is an indicator of that subject matter being Tatparya Vishaya. Okay. So here, Paunah Punyena is Punaha Punaha Swarthe Shai Pratyaya, T Lopaha. Here T is what? Correct. Therefore Paunah Punyena. I was wondering for where is T Lopaha. Alopaha. Paunah Punyena. Punaha Swarthe Shai. Punaha iti asya. Then Swarthe Shai Pratyaya. So original word is Punaha. Then Punaha Shai Pratyaya, but not changing the meaning. Swarthe. Punaha Tasya Swarthe Shai and T Lopaha. Then Punaha is equal to Varam. So Punah Paunyena means what? Varam varam. Varam varam means repeatedly. Repeated or repeatedly. Okay. So Pauna Punyana. Anything? Repeatedly presentation or repeated presentation. Alright. So here what is the logic? Like we had seen for Upakrama Upasamhara logic. Yadado ante cha ekurupataya pratipadyate. Here logic will be what? Yaha arthaha madhye पुनः पुनः प्रतिपाद्यते और अभ्यस्यते सः तात्पर्यार्थः प्रकरणस्य तात्पर्यार्थः यह अर्थः मध्ये मध्ये मीन्स प्रकरणस्य मध्ये यह अर्थः प्रकरणस्य मध्ये पुनः पुनः प्रतिपाद्यते अथवा अभ्यस्यते सः अर्थः तात्पर्यार्थः. Is it clear? That is the logic. So whatever subject matter is repeatedly presented in the middle of the text, that is the purport of the text. That is our psychology. Whatever is important, we repeat. It will come again and again. Okay. Now, and for that example is given. Yatha, just as. Tatra eva. Tatra eva means Chandogya Shashtadhyaya eva. In the 6th chapter in Chandogya Upanishad, Advitiya Vastuni, with regard to non-dual reality, Madhye, in the middle, means in between the beginning and end, Madhye, in the middle or inside the text, Prakaranasya Madhye, Tattvamasi iti, you are that. In this manner, Navakrutvaha, 9 times. Krutvas is a pratyaya. So Navakrutva is indeclinable. Navakrutvaha, 9 times. Pratipadanam, presentation. So presentation, 9 times presentation, Advitiya Vastuni, with regard to Advitiya Vastu, non-dual reality. By which statement? Tattvamasi. In fact, not only Tattvamasi, Etadatmya, that also is repeated. So Tattvamasi, in this manner, 9 times repetition. Where? Prakaranasya Madhye, in the 6th chapter, in the middle. Middle means between the beginning and end, that is Madhya, not exactly middle. Within. So Madhye Pratipadanam. Since Advitiya Vastu is the Tatparya of the 6th chapter, therefore it is repeated 9 times. So repetition of the repetition with regard to the non-dual reality 9 times becomes the indicator in the form of abhyasa. So Pratipadanam what? Abhyasaha. Okay. Advitiya Vastuni Pratipadanam Abhyasaha. So we can see that since 6th chapter has the Tatparyam in Advitiya Vastu, therefore Shruti 6th chapter is repeating the same idea 9 times. Okay. That's why it becomes very ideal chapter. See, 9 times is not a small thing. 1 or 2 times is maybe 2 or 3 times maybe a little less. 9 times. Therefore 6th chapter become very ideal. Okay. Now, the next one is the Apurvata. Next linga, Apurvata, uniqueness, novelty. They use the word novelty, uniqueness. Maybe when we were small, they used to have the store called Novelty Store. Now also?
In our also novelty store.
Means all these
Books, stationery.
book, stationery and other general things also they have. Novelty means some other household things also they keep. Yeah?
Only stationery is there.
Is it? Oh, is it?
No, sir. In
Even Bangle, etc. I mean, like that, so many.
all the like decorative items and
yes.
all those things are
Will be novelty. That's right.
that is novelty.
Novelty shabdasya charitarthatam tatra eva. Okay. So Apurvata. Prakarana pratipadyasya advitiya vastunah
प्रकरणप्रतिपाद्यस्य अद्वितीयवस्तुनः
प्रमाणान्तराविषयीकरणम्
प्रमाणान्तराविषयीकरणम्
अपूर्वता
अपूर्वता
यथा तत्र एव
यथा तत्र एव
अद्वितीयवस्तुनः
अद्वितीयवस्तुनः
मानान्तराविषयीकरणम्
मानान्तराविषयीकरणम्.
Okay. So what is apurvata? Apurvata means uniqueness. Means which was not presented earlier, purva. That is called apurva, and tasya bhava apurvata. Purvam is purvam pratipadanam navidyate. Yasya tat apurvam. Tasya bhavaha apurvata. Uniqueness. And what is that? Prakarana pratipadyasya advitiya vastunaha. It's just telling advitiya vastu. Really speaking, generally speaking, prakarana pratipadyasya vastunaha. Of this subject, the non-dual reality, which is pratipadya, which is the purport of the prakarana, the chapter or the section or the text. Pramanantara Vishayikaranam. Avishayikaranam is inaccessibility, non-availability, non-objectifiability. By what? Pramanantara. By any other means of knowledge. So, any given subject matter is not available, being not available for any other means of knowledge. So, non-availability of the subject matter for any other means of knowledge. And what is that? The Advitiya Vastu. In this context, Advitiya Vastu, the non-dual reality, which is Prakarana Pratipadya, which is the subject matter sought to be conveyed by the chapter. In simple words, the subject matter of the main subject matter of the chapter not being available for any other means of knowledge is called apurvata, uniqueness of that subject matter. So apurvata is the dharma of what? Subject matter. Pramanantara Vishayikaranam kasya prakarana pratipadyasya. The subject matter of this prakarana, the chapter under discussion, is inaccessible. That being inaccessible, inaccessibility, unobjectifiability, non-availability by any other means, for any other means of knowledge, that is called apurvata. Like what? Is advitiya vastu, non-dual reality, is not available for any other means, is available only for Shastra, not available for any other means of knowledge. To be understood. Means, by Pratyaksha you cannot understand Advaita. By Anumana you cannot understand Advaita. Anumana can support, but Anumana cannot decisively establish Advaita. Whatever Anumana you give, there will be somebody who will give other Anumana. He will give a Sat Pratipaksha, other Anumana will give. Sat Pratipaksha, studied?
Not studied.
9, Namakaram.
No, in
It's
Paramatma.
good. It's going to come, okay. So, it will give contradictory Anumana. So, idea is that logic or Anumana itself cannot establish Advaita. Even though people say Advaita is very logical, Advaita is not logical. Advaita is not illogical, but Advaita is not logical. Because we have seen what is logical, that which can be established decisively by logic is called logical. Not illogical, not dismissed by logic, therefore not illogical. And therefore other pramanas are not having their access to this Advaita. that status of Advaita Vastu, Advaita Tattva, is called Apurvata of Advaita Vastu. Is it clear? Okay. And when we say this, we include science also. This non-duality cannot be established by science. Why? Because science is dependent on Pratyaksha and Anumana primarily. And it is not available for Pratyaksha because Pratyaksha is showing duality only. And this Anumana also is based on Pratyaksha. Therefore, it will conclude duality. And therefore, this Advaita Vastu is Apurva. And this Apurvata, this subject matter being unique, inaccessible, unique in the sense of being inaccessible to any other means of knowledge, becomes a linga, becomes an indicator for being Tatparya Vishaya of that chapter. Because what is the logic? Yaha arthaha apurvataya prakaranena pratipadyate sa eva prakaranasya tatparyarthaha bhavati. Whatever subject matter is presented being apurva, as apurva, that alone is tatparyarthaha. That alone becomes the subject matter which is purport. Or yaha arthaha apurvaha bhavati sa eva tatparyartha bhavati. In simple words, it is that. Or here apurva we mean not available for any other means of knowledge, available only for this Shastra Pramana. That's what we mean here in this context. Otherwise, that which is available for Pratyaksha also can be called apurva. Can be called or not? Logically. The Rupam, is it apurva or not? Logically, it is apurva. But contextually, we are not talking about that. Contextually, apurva means that which is available for Shastra Pramanam alone and not available for any other means of knowledge. Therefore, Vedanta or subject matter of Vedanta is not scientific. People will be very enthusiastically telling Vedanta is so scientific, so scientific. We are doing research on Vedanta. Research on Vedanta you can do in which chapter this is said, this is chapter. That research is okay. You can do research. They have Advait Vedanta Research Center. That is okay. But that research should be in the field of Advait Vedanta only. You cannot say that in laboratory I proved that Brahman is Advaita or reality is Advaita. You cannot. Therefore, this Vedanta subject matter is not scientific. Not only that, even Veda Purvabhaga is not scientific. Because Veda Purvabhaga is primarily dealing with Punyam. Sadhana Sadhya Sambandha between the karma and karma phala through apurva. That is not available for science. People have so many research centers too. They said we are doing research on yajna and then we found out that by doing yajna this happens. This happens, but for that whatever effect they are seeing, that is not the subject matter of Shastra. Shastra is telling if you do this ritual, you will have apurva and that apurva will lead to particular result. This karma and that particular result has got sadhya sadhana sambandha. That is the subject matter, which you cannot figure out independently. Somebody says, no Swamiji, I performed this Kariri Yaga and the rain came. So Swamiji, scientifically we proved that it came. That is not the proof. If Shastra had not mentioned it, can you figure out independently? Cannot figure out. And how this happens, you cannot figure out. Scientific means you have to explain all the steps, then only it becomes scientific. You cannot figure out. So even though people do this See, Swamiji, he had this problem, the ritual was done and he was cured, it is scientific. That is not called really scientific. Scientists will not call it scientific. And Vedas, Vedic people also will not call it scientific. Only in between people will call them scientific. Those who don't understand Veda completely, or the area of Veda completely, or the approach of scientists completely, they will say. So Vedas are not scientific. We can say yes, we can practically or effect wise we can verify the effects of the karmas given. That much we can say. Effect in terms of visible effect. That you can say yes is what is said in Vedas, that if you do this, it will come, it is happening. But don't call it scientific based on that. That is not scientific. Scientific means you have to explain every step, how it happens. Then it will call scientific. So, the subject matter of Vedanta, Advitiya Vastu, is not scientific. That is why the people, those who have got so much obsession with the science, they will have difficulty in assimilating Advaita. I know one person, brilliant, but this obsession that I want to understand with the help of science, then it will not work. He will say, Swamiji, I have studied science, so everything I want to establish, understand with science only. He thinks he is glorifying himself. He makes me laugh. He is amusing. It is something like, Swamiji, I want to prove the color through my ears. I will try, Swamiji. I will make my ears powerful, more powerful. I will use hearing aids and whatever it is. Not possible. Anyway, so this apurvata is the indicator based on the logic that that which is apurva, unique, inaccessible to other means of knowledge, alone can be the tatparya vishaya of Shastra. So for something to be tatparya vishaya of Shastra, it has to be unique. So if it is unique, then it gives us the sense of possibility that this must be tatparya vishaya. Every unique thing will not be tatparya vishaya. But whatever is tatparya vishaya will be unique. Because Shastra tells so many things about unique things, This karma and this karma phala is unique. But it doesn't mean that is the final tatparya vishaya of entire Vedas. You cannot say that way. But whatever is tatparya vishaya has to be apurva. Alright. So yatha tatra eva advitiya vastuni madhye tatvamasi, प्रमाणांतरा विषय प्रकरण प्रतिपाद्यस्य अद्वितीय वस्तुनः प्रमाणांतरा विषयीकरणम अपूर्वता. And yatha, just as, tatra eva means Chandogya Shashtadhyaye, in the 6th chapter in Chandogya Upanishad alone, there itself, advitiya vastunaha, of the reality which is non-dual, of non-dual reality, or we can say advitiya vastu, the subject matter which is non-dual reality, advitiya vastunaha, both ways, advitiya vastunaha, manantara vishayikaranam. Non-availability, avishayikaranam is non-availability, non-objectifiability by manantara, by other means of knowledge. Means Advaita Vastu alone can have tatparya in Advaita Vastu alone can have tatparya of the Prakranam, because Advaita Vastu alone is Manantara Vishayi Bhutam. It is not available for any other means of knowledge. And based on this we say this, that Dvaitam is already available. By Pratyaksha we see I am different, you are different. Anuman also we can see that I must be different, because when I am you are not there. We can have Anumanam. So other means of knowledge have got access to this Dvaita. Therefore Dvaita cannot be the Tatparya Vishaya. So Pujya Swamiji used to tell the story of that Murari. He a person he is studying Advaita first, and then he somehow got some what is called dissatisfaction because of some prarabdha, some adrushta, pratibandhaka, or whatever, and he left his teacher, even though he liked the teacher, he liked as a person, but he somehow dissatisfied with this Advaita. Therefore, he goes to the Dvaita Guru and studied Vedanta for 12 years. And he comes back and tells that I want to do Shastrartha with you. Debate. And he had that feeling, what? I will save my Guru from going to Naraka. Because in Dvaita they say, if you talk about Advaita, you will go to Naraka. But Bhagavan says, Kshipami Ajasrama Shubhan. Yeah, Ishwaroham, one who says this, he said. So Devasura Sampati is there. So he thought, my Guru, at least I have studied and he was such a nice person, he took care of me, so I would go and help him so he comes out of this Advaita notion and he goes to Dvaita. Then the teacher understood that. And he said, I will do it, but I have called barber, Murari. So he came and he was shaved, and then after shaving, the Viradeshu and this Swami is trying to do namaskara to Murari. Say, you are Bhagavan. You gave me such a wonderful form. You are Bhagavan. Murari said, no, I am not. I am not Ishvara. Then Guru looked at the disciple. That not former disciple. And then Guru looked at him and Shishya understood that without studying for 12 years, this Shishya, this person, barber also knows that I am not Ishvara. What did you progress? And then having smiled at him, he went inside. And then he came out, he was not there. Swamiji added this story. He said, why he is not there? He went to the market to bring fruits and to again request Acharya. In Dvaita, there cannot be Tatparyam. See, for that they will have some argument. In fact, they will have this story, they will say, the story says that this is Advaitis is missing very obvious. The same story they will say. And they say, even barber knows that I am not Bhagavan. That you are lower than barber if you say. Alright. So they will say that Dvaita is very clear, and the only thing, the nature of Dvaita you have to understand. What is your relationship with Ishvara? Dvaitam is there. But what type of Dvaitam? You are a Dasaha and Ishvara is Sarvajna, Sarvashaktiman. So that type of details you don't know, no? They will answer. We think that by story we will convince them. Don't think like that. If the story has been there, in fact they are using the story to ridicule Advaita. So sometimes we think, oh my God, so much logic is there and therefore they must be convinced. No, the argument continues. That's why we have got Vishishta Dvaiti, Dvaiti, all are there. So Apurvata becomes Linga.
The first logic which we give, yaha arthaha apurvataya prakaranena pratipadyate.
Prakaranena or prakarane?
Prakarane pratipadyate. Saha eva tatparyat.
Tatparyat bhavati.
Swamiji, here when we are saying pratipadyate, then can it also mean that the mention by the Shruti that this is Apurva is the Linga?
It can be, that's why I change also. Yaha artha apurva rupa yaha artha pratipadyate. Sa eva tatparyata. And apurvataya also is there, I will explain that. Shruti will present in apurvata also. Really, it is not necessary that Shruti has to present. That meaning should be apurva. The meaning which we want to arrive at the tatparya should be apurva. So, apurvata linga should be there in the subject matter which is being established as tatparya vishaya.
So but we are knowing that this is apurva vishaya, from the Shruti itself, or we are knowing it outside the Shruti also?
Both. Acharya will explain. See, this cannot be known. And Shruti also will say. In fact, I am going to come to that. In the 6th chapter, this Apurvata is shown. How? Atrava vakila sat somya na nibhalayase. You know the story? What is the story? Uddalaka tells his son, Shvetaketu. What? You bring water and salt. And you put this salt into water. And now this vessel, you take it in the room and keep it overnight. And you come to me tomorrow. And don't disturb that vessel. Don't go again and just you keep the vessel overnight. And the next day morning, the student came and he said, bring that water. And he asked him that, please get this salt back. Are you able to find that salt here? He put his hand. Sparshendriya used. Could not find. Nowhere he found salt. Where is the dissolve? And he said, do you see the salt? He said, no, I am not seeing. So by Sparshendriya and by Chakshurindriya, Darshanendriya, he could not find the salt. And now he told him that you please do Achamanam. You sip this water from the top. Then he said, how is it? He said, it's salty. He said, you sip it from the middle, maybe straw or something perhaps used. Sip from that. How is it? He said, salty. At the end, Achama. He said, Tatheti, he did. And how is it? Kimetad, Lavanam, salty. Then Acharya says, see, even though salt is very much there, but if you do not use appropriate means of knowledge, such as this Sparshendriya and this Chakshurindriya, then even though it is there, you will not find it. Even though salt is very much there, but if you do not use appropriate means of knowledge, means you use this Sparshendriya or Chakshurindriya, you will not find salt. But if you use appropriate means, Rasanendriya, then you find it. Similarly, Sat Tattva, Atra, in this body itself Sat Tattva is there. Sat Brahma is present. Atra Bhava Kila Sat Somya Na Nibhalayase. Even though Sat Brahman is very much there, but you will not be able to appreciate. For that, you require the teaching of Shastra. The Advitiya Sat Brahma is very much present everywhere, like salt. But na nivalayase. So Shruti herself is showing what? That this Sat Brahma is not available for other means of knowledge. You will not find by any other means of knowledge. You can find by only appropriate means of knowledge, which is Shastra. So Shruti herself is showing this Manantara Vishayi Karanam. Is it clear? And that is Apurvata. So Apurvata is the status of the subject matter. What? Not available for means of knowledge, and that is also shown by the Shruti. Even if it is not shown by the Shruti, if that subject matter has got this Apurvata, it becomes the Linga. Is it clear? Main thing is Manantara Vishayi Karanam. Tacha Pratipadyate Samanyataha. Is it clear? And that becomes Linga. The logic behind is what? Yaha Arthaha Apurvaha. Apurvaha yaha Artha Pratipadyate Saeva Tatparyartha Bhavati. Is it clear? Then next one is Phalam, which we'll see in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.